Today we welcome a true icon of American design, Jamie Drake, known for his exuberant use of color, his daring mix of styles, and his ability to create spaces that are glamorous and deeply personal. Jamie's work spans everything from glass-wrapped penthouses and sprawling estates to yachts, airplanes, and beyond. Jamie is more than a designer, he is a storyteller, an innovator, and a man who has never been afraid to take risks. Today we step inside his world. This is Beyond the Design with Jamie Drake. Well, Jamie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cray. Lovely to be here today.
Well, you've often shared that your first design project was decorating a backyard fort at age 7. Looking back, what did that moment reveal about who you were and where you're going to go and what you wanted to do with your life?
Well, kudos to you for doing a deep dive on what I've said long in the past. Thank you. It is true, and I enjoyed that experience enormously. I will be seeing that best friend in a few months for our high school 50th reunion.
Fantastic.
Oh my gosh! And I named myself in charge of design and antiques. And the antiques were things I found over the hill and down through the Nell in an abandoned barn in the woods below. And I dragged back these old bottles, crusty with stuff, and rusted out wash tins, tin basins and things. And I arranged them in vignettes. And I would say maybe what that told me, or was like, or not consciously at the time, was that I liked things and that I was going to be an accumulator.
There you go. A collector, a gatherer, so to speak.
Yes, and an arranger.
There you go. Well, just 2 days after graduating Parsons, you landed your first client. Did you feel ready for that opportunity, or was it just a leap of faith that kind of shaped your confidence? It's like, okay, this is not so bad.
I think my instinct was just a leap of faith, like, okay, let's do this. Mm-hmm. But obviously I had enough of a sense that I was ready to take it up.
You're ready.
I figured I would figure it out.
Figure it out as you go.
Right. And it was good that they were friends. I think that gave me a little bit more of a comfort. I had known them already for a few years, 3 years, I would say, 4 years. So, so that was a positive experience and a way to experiment as a professional on somebody else's dime.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, who were your earliest influences in design, or what was that really kind of installed in you, and how do you see their fingerprints in your work today?
You know, Craig, probably my earliest influence was Louis Kahn. I grew up outside of New Haven, and my parents had a love of art and of New Haven. They both grew up in New Haven, were born there. And visiting the Louis Kahn Yale Art Museum, and then as time and years moved on, which was his first important commission, one of his very first important commissions. And then his last commission, which was finished posthumously, was the British Center for Art, the Mellon Center. And so to have this beautiful structures of concrete fascinated me, these circular tubes that were the stairwells, and to look at the triangulated cast concrete ceilings, I was in awe. And I think that to see a first work of a master and a last work of a master, and the last one is much warmer, it has much more wood, natural wood in it, really influenced me greatly. Then if I would go on a little further down in my life, I would say as a teen, Angelo D'Angia was my idol. And I think his work influenced me greatly as well.
That's a good one. That's a very prominent one as well.
Yes.
Well, your career has been described as bold and exuberant, yet sophisticated and timeless. How would you personally describe your aesthetic in one sentence?
I would say that my work is urbane, sophisticated, energetic, visually intriguing, and always has a touch of wit in it to put a smile on your face.
I like that. I like that. Well, what was the first project that really put you on the map, and how did it change your trajectory?
Probably that was the first house I did for my still great client of 40 years almost, Mike Bloomberg. And it was the townhouse in New York City that he commissioned me to do for him. And Mike and his then wife were wonderful clients, and they were really doing their first, beautiful, important home. And I got to work and learn about antiques and fine art and really purchasing and selecting the most beautiful quality things.
Mm-hmm.
And when it was all done, I had a neighbor in the building that I had my office in who was also a designer, and she was on a member of the ASID New York Metro chapter. And she said, "We're planning a house tour. Do you have anything that might be good for us?" And I said, "I think I do." And they knew some people knew who I was. They didn't know anything about my work. And they all walked through this house with their jaws dropped. And then that became the first project I ever had published in a national magazine. It was an interior design magazine, which at that time also featured a lot of residential projects and a mix of styles that was traditional as well as contemporary, different than the magazine is today under Cindy Allen, which is beautiful today, but it was a very different magazine in those days. And that kind of really popped me in front of people's eyes.
Put you on your road, your path of success. Well,
Yes.
you've worked across many sectors within the design industry. And how do you approach and differentiate between these projects? And is there a Jamie Drake philosophy regardless of the setting?
I think I am a graduate of Parsons School of Design.
Mm-hmm.
The program then was known as the School of Environmental Design. And it had a kind of a Bauhausian approach to training us. So it wasn't just interiors, it was also detailing and interior architecture, product design, a little bit of landscape, a little bit of graphic design. And so we were to be well rounded
Right.
and
Principles.
right, and have different experiences that might inform us about what we truly did want to pursue after graduation. And I think that those principles are what guides me in all my work, what I learned then, which is it's not about whether I'm doing a room that was inspired by 18th century France or 21st century Milan. It is really putting my vision of scale, texture, and program to use whatever the project is.
Mm-hmm. Well, as someone who's been on the 80-100 list for years and inducted into its Hall of Fame, what do these exactly? You can give yourself a little bit more. What do these honors mean to you personally, and also as a professional in the creative industry?
Personally, they are just incredibly gratifying and always surprising. Whenever I get a call, whether it was to be inducted into the Interior Design Magazine Hall of Fame, the AD100 the first time, the AD100 Hall of Fame, the El Decor A-list, I still get a chill. I still get a chill because it really is, in a way, our ultimate recognition in our industry are these honors and awards and lists. And so I'm thrilled, honored, and humbled, and kind of in disbelief the good fortune I've been afforded.
Is it a pinch me moment each time?
Absolutely. I'm black and blue all over my body.
You're the Meryl Streep of the design industry. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, your work is fearless with color, pattern, and period mixing. What gives you the courage to really take the risk? And do you like to be challenged as well?
I like new challenges. I hate stagnation. I'm always ready to move on. And whether it's a very conscious decision or just we're working on a project and I'm shown something and I'm very unenthusiastic about it. And it's because, no, I've seen this. We've done this. What are we going to do next? I've seen this too much. So I don't know that I consider what I do risk-taking. It's in my nature to say, oh, that would look really cool next to that. And no, that's not tall enough.
Right.
Let's make it taller. I want exclamation points at the end of my visual sentences.
Hmm.
So at the far end of a room from when you enter, it should have a strong piece, a bold piece, a big piece, a tall piece. Um, and then I like it so that when your eye moves around the room after discovering that first thing, you keep finding more interesting things.
Well, what role? Because sometimes designers look at a piece of art and create the the experiential environment around that one component. What role do art and collectibles play in your interiors? And do you have a personal favorite piece in your own collection?
I do love art, and whether it's contemporary or classical or old master, I appreciate all sorts of art in all sorts of mediums.
Hmm.
And I think that rooms come alive when they have art in it. And so for many projects, I have the great good fortune of working with the clients to select the art. Some might think they're putting together a collection. The reality is, for most part, our clients are furnishing. They're buying art to furnish. Because if they were truly collectors, they just keep buying, 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 and we'd switch things around, and they'd put things back in storage. So I choose in a guide with care and with composition in mind. So it's the argument for me would be between me being a designer and a collector at home. I
Hmm.
still have empty spots on my walls, but as a designer, I know that the spaces look better that way,
Hmm.
that they need room to breathe around them to appreciate them greatly. My favorite piece at home might be I'm looking at it across the way a small charming portrait by Lou Fratino, a really marvelous kind of expressionistic portraitist from the LGBTQ
Hmm.
community.
I know that person. How has your philosophy evolved over the decades? Is there a Jamie Drake signature that you kind of slide in, or people say, I want this because you're known for it, especially as trends and technology change? And, a lot of the industry is the it factor and what's new on Pinterest, and clients say, I want this. How has your philosophy evolved over the decades?
So my philosophy in general is based on I'm left right, my creative and my entrepreneurial side. So I'm always hoping to be accommodating to clients,
Mm-hmm.
to have happy clients and do business. I think that the certainly I had a great now people know me for my use of color, and people would at a certain point ask for more and more color, and I'd make a price. It's not bright enough. I'm like, trust me, this is gonna be really bright. When this color goes on all four walls and starts reflecting off of itself, it's going to be bright. Although in the last 10 years, people moved away from that. There was much
Mm-hmm.
more of a movement of taste and style towards more neutral palettes, grays, whites, pale blue accents. And I love working with that as well, because as I have said, I like to be a chameleon and I like to experiment with different things and not repeat myself. And that gives me great pleasure.
Well, besides working across various many sectors and components of the design industry, you've also designed across many product categories: furniture, lighting, carpets, and so much more. What really excites you most about product design compared to interiors? And as I mentioned before, does it challenge you in a different creative avenue?
Well, certainly every product category has its own unique possibilities and limitations
Hmm.
based on the manufacturing processes, based on the specific market that it's intended for. Is it super luxury floor coverings, or is it more price point sensitive floor coverings, which means they have a different fiber content? Again, they're just other kinds of experiences and challenges to wrap my head around. How they differ from creating a whole room is you are creating an object,
Right.
one object. It makes it much, in a way, simpler to focus on.
Hmm. You're more, I think, geared for that start and completion because it's not all the various other, I don't want to
Right.
say noise in the room, but it's that one singular item that has
It's
to.
interesting. My two longest running product lines are both for the bathroom. collection of bathroom accessories, tissue boxes, wastebaskets, soap dishes for La Brazil for 15 years or so. And then bath faucets for THG. And I just have one line with them, but it continues to sell called Profil. And it makes sense that they continue to run because the setup costs to tool all that, to get it into manufacturing, are enormous compared to, say, printing 50 yards of fabric
Right.
and seeing if it sells.
True, because the prototype and all the other components and creating that little box, you'd be
Yes.
surprised.
Yes.
Well, you've had the luxury of collaborating and working with many of the industry's finest. Is there a dream collaboration you haven't done yet?
I'd love to design the interior of a car, maybe for Rolls Royce.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not bad.
that would be
Hey, you
fun.
said it now; it's going to happen.
I hope so.
Well, you've given so much of your time to organizations like Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club, Housing Works, and Parsons. Why is philanthropy such an important part of your life?
Because I see endless need, and I'm a person of great empathy, and I'm a person of great blessing. I guess to channel JFK in his inaugural speech to those who much is given, much is expected.
Sure.
And I'm able to do it, and I muster the energy. And last night I was honored by the Parsons Healthy Materials Lab at a wonderful event out in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And when they called me, and I know the founders forever, for a very long time, and a very close relationship with them. And the Parsons Healthy Materials Lab is about sustainable products in the design, architecture, and construction industries to try and save our planet.
Mm-hmm.
And when she said they wanted to honor me, I was like, she said, but Jamie, you were our first funder, or one of our first funders. And I was like, really? And I was like, okay, all right. I do believe in putting your name on things and not doing it anonymously,
Mm-hmm.
and making donations with my name on it, not anonymously, hoping to inspire others, because I can't do it alone. Nobody can.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
banding together is the greatest way to get things done.
Mm-hmm. And I think it inspires others knowing that you're doing it, that they can do it too, and where it helps and where it needs to go. Like you said, if you do it anonymously, people don't know.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I mean, Kips Bay has been around for quite some time now. What is it about it, the decorated show house, that continues to inspire you year after year?
So so when I first knew about Kips Bay and wanted to participate, it was really as a marketing effort. And for the designers, it is a marketing effort, of course, and to show your work to a broader audience and hopefully to get some clients. As I got more involved in it, of course, I became moved by the mission, which is after school programs in some of the poorest zip codes in the country in the Bronx. And with 11,000 kids a year going through these after school programs, often coming from families that have great challenges fiscally, have parents who might be working two jobs, so that after school, their lives are enriched. They're not just wandering the streets.
Right.
And so moved by that, I got more and more involved. And I took on the role of co-chairing the President's Dinner with Bunny Williams, and then co-chairing the Show House in New York with Bunny Williams. Now I co-chair them with Alexa Hampton and Corey Damon Jenkins. Alexa on the Show House, Corey on the Dinner. And I am committed to the cause, and I'm committed to the notion that it can do both. It can be a wonderful marketing tool for designers and the sponsors and their products. And at the same time, I encourage them to really feel the beautiful work that we're going to be doing at Kips Bay through their efforts, funding from their efforts.
Correct.
And this year is our 50th show house, which will be opening shortly. And our first in 50 show houses downtown. It's going to be in the West Village on West 20th Street.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Yes, that's really exciting.
I lived in New York for many years, and yeah, I know the area quite well. And Kips Bay has kind of expanded too. It's not just in New York; it's also in Dallas, and I believe you had one in Florida at one time, correct?
We do. So our wonderful director of special events and corporate partnerships, Nazara Handel, well, we have great success here in New York. Why don't we earn even more money? We've got the formula down, and we first started in Palm Beach, which we now have an annual show house. And then she said, we got that down. Let's move to Dallas and open in Dallas. So we do that too. So we have 3 show houses around the country now. In Palm Beach and Dallas, we also partner with a local charity who we share the funds raised with. But a great portion of those funds comes back to New York.
Fantastic. Well, you're also chair of the New York Community Trust Board. You balance design with civic responsibility. How do you see the relationship between creativity and community and those within our industry giving back and kind of providing, I guess, elements that probably would not be recognized otherwise?
Yeah. I currently sit on 4 boards. So the smallest is the Alpha Workshops, which has an annual budget of about $1 million and no endowment. And then there's Parsons School of Design. There's the Kips Bay Boys and Girls Club. And then there's the giant in the room that nobody knows their name, the New York Community Trust. And we are 101 years old, and we do really nitty-gritty needs work in New York City, Westchester, and Long Island. And we are the community foundation for those 8 counties. And we have $3.5 billion in assets. And we don't run programs, we fund them. So we have great grant-making staff that looks at needs, applications from organizations, and we fund, in so many ways, we fund food insecurity, housing insecurity, immigrant rights, LGBTQ rights, trans rights, the environment, some historic preservation, medical, battered women, the formerly incarcerated, substance abuse issues, all sorts of things. And it's very satisfying. I've been on the board for 18 years, and I'm now board chair for 21 months. And, I guess a creative mind just can work in a variety of ways. So I absorb the information I have to hear and listen to and learn about as board chair, and then make decisions from there and help support the staff. I am not the leader of the organization. I am the leader of the board.
So juggling so much on a creative side and also giving back exceptionally, how does that feed you as a creative in giving back?
It satisfies me. It makes me feel good. People generally tend to give not because of tax deduction first and foremost, because they want to, and it makes them feel good. Mm-hmm. And giving does make you feel good. I encourage everybody to write a check to some organization that they love or establish a fund at the New York Community Trust, because we have funds of all sorts. People can establish them in their lifetime and also plan ahead to the future. As I put it, when I ask people, what do you plan on doing with your money when you no longer need it, i.e., when you're dead?
The final answer.
Right. So that $3.5 billion in assets is a great portion is legacy funds that were established by people, and long ago. People like Coco Lazaroff, who was a dentist on Staten Island for their career. And then after 30 years of being a dentist, said, my real passion is opera. And I also have been living in my misassigned body, and they had a gender transition and became Coco Lazaroff, and supported lots of opera initiatives in New York. And when she died, she left her estate to the trust for funding for women transitioning under 30 years old to help them with their costs in all ways. And, her fund has grown to $8 million, and it gives away huge amounts of money. Another, Lucy Wortham James, she established a fund in the late 30s. I think the bequest then was $1.8 million. That fund is now worth $70 million through our stewardship and growth and has given away over 74 million and will continue that trajectory.
That's
So
fantastic.
you can define the future long beyond your time here on Earth.
True, true. You can continue giving. You don't need
Right.
to be present.
That's right.
And going back to Kips Bay, what is the process if a designer who's maybe unknown and is in, let's say, Utah or some other place, get involved with Kips Bay or participate or want to do a room or be selected for a room?
So really all you need to do is apply. And then we have a committee that reviews the applicants. And we love embracing people whose names are not known. We think a successful show house shows diversity in all ways: geographic, the length of career, stylistically, ethnically, racially, gender-wise. And that's important to us. And I think it makes a vibrant show house and it reflects the communities we live in.
Now, since there's been 3 locations in New York, Florida, and Texas, do you see those areas being differentiated under the Kips Bay? Do they try to...
Stylistically, yes. Yeah, there are, I mean, yes. I think there are some rooms that are always kind of feel global and could be in any city in the world. And others in Palm Beach, we can tend to see a lot of palms and prints. And maybe the colors are more vibrant, more brighter. And in Dallas, there's still a great affection for nods to opulent traditionalism. Mm-hmm. New York tends to be more contemporary.
Do you think New York has also pushed the limits in creativity because of the metropolis it is and what it represents in the design community?
I think that probably that's inevitable because if the designers are stimulated all the time, just as I am, you're always moving ahead, and you're not a follower.
Right, right.
You're an early adapter.
Absolutely. Well, Jamie, tell us a little bit about some of the projects you're working on currently.
So we're just finishing up an absolutely gorgeous, massive property in East Hampton on the ocean. And that was a combination of a major renovation and a new construction to an existing house. It was a sort of odd shingle-style house from the 1980s by who was in the 80s known as the greatest of the shingle-style architects of that time, Francis Fleetwood. And this was a really weird Fleetwood house, and with a kind of charm. And we tore down a third of it and built a new half in the same style. It wasn't a contrast of shingle style and then a glass box. And we renovated the rest that was left behind and, turned the basement into a fabulous lower level. I say my clients, they don't have basements. We don't have basements. We have lower levels. Would you like to go to the lower level?
There you go.
And that we're doing the final FF&E now. And we put together with the client purchased wonderful art. Last week at the Armory Show, we finally found the piece for the living room, the most important wall in the living room. And so that's wonderful. Then I've been working for a few years on a big ground-up new construction modernist house in Bridgehampton, third project for those clients. And as well as I've worked for the wife's parents a few times. And they're wonderful people and lovely to work with and absolutely sensational. And the installation will be next May. So construction is going to be is a few years, and then we will do the FF&E installation. And that's going to be very elegant, but still country. It's not on the water, so I call it more country than beachy. We're finishing up a project in Utah in the mountains in Deer Valley. And then out in Wisconsin, I'm doing yet another project for a client of 25 years now, I think it is, or someone I've had a relationship with for 25 years or so, maybe longer, Sub-Zero Wolf, the appliance company.
Okay.
And so they have a contest called America's Great Kitchens, and I was a judge for 20 years. And through that, I got to be very friendly with the owners. And it's still a privately held, family-held company. Mm-hmm. And when they built this giant, wonderful training center called the Baki Center, the West EF Baki Center. I was hired to do the entertaining bar and the dining room, and then work on the art program for the public spaces and the furnishings for the lobby. And now they're building a new executive headquarters building on their campus. And so I've been engaged to work on the furnishings for, again, the lobby reception, the chairman's office, and art throughout. He loves my taste in art, and I love shopping for art. So it's a really good mix. And he and his wife are lovely people. I've also worked on their house there in Wisconsin and their house in Arizona. And I'm thrilled to be working on another project with them.
Fantastic. You got your hands full. Is there a sector of the industry that you haven't done a project in that you want to?
Yes. I mean, a million years ago, I did one small restaurant on a really shoestring budget in the Hamptons that only lasted one season. I would love to do a restaurant, a nightclub. I think I'm just made for that. My work has a zhuzh factor. I'm not afraid of some shine.
There you go.
Yeah.
a little shine, a little glitz, a little
Yes,
glamour.
right.
Bring it all together.
Yeah.
Well, you've spoken about design as a form of storytelling, and I think that's fantastic because design is about experiential environments and engaging all the senses. What story are you most proud of having told through your work?
That's an interesting question. I think what I would say with my first historic preservation project, which was something I'd never done before.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2002, when Mike Bloomberg was elected mayor, it was suggested to the Gracie Mansion Conservancy, the oversight group, that I be engaged to do the project, to oversee the restoration, renovation, and redecoration of the house, which was in pretty strong need of it. It hadn't been touched in a major way since the Koch administration 20 years before. Some of the bathrooms dated from the Lindsays in the 60s.
Wow.
And it was ready because, of course, it got a lot of use. And so as far as storytelling, it was like as a preservationist, I had to figure out what point in time did I want to focus on? Because historic preservation is a kind of a moving concept even. Now some days they want to show whole trajectories of time, not just back to the original. Right. And the house, of course, has evolved over the years. It was originally built in 1790, an enormous addition added on in 1799, and then some the additions in the 80s in the 60s of the Wagner wing. And then in the 80s, during the Koch administration, connecting the Wagner wing to the house, so you didn't have to walk through the kitchen. And so I focused on really 1799 to 1810, the height of federal period. And the storytelling involved including pieces from the Gracie family, furniture that was in the house, portraits of them, portraits of other mayors over time. Fiorello LaGuardia was the first mayor to live there. And his portrait hangs there. So I think that was the storytelling of New York City.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, it's such a iconic place. I don't think a lot of people know about it. Thinking of Metropolis, New York City, that this beautiful home resides, in this area that you could walk by and not know.
And it is a home. It's called Gracie Mansion. But by our standards today, I don't think most people consider it a mansion. It's a wood-framed house, with clapboard exterior. It has a kind of a beautifully scaled farmhouse nature to it.
Mm-hmm. It does. Very true.
Right.
What has been the most challenging chapter of your career, and how did you push through it?
In a career as long as I've had, I've enjoyed many fruitful partnerships over the years of many kinds, and most have gone really, really well. But partnerships are serious endeavors, of course. And when they don't go as planned, they have the potential to be quite unpleasant. I would say it's important to thoroughly vet prospective professional partners, But even then, caveat emptor, buyer beware,
Right.
best laid plans, etc.
Mm-hmm. True, true. Lesson learned. I don't think if you have the highs and lows, you're never going to learn.
Right,
If
right.
it's the same
They're
playing field.
difficult to go through,
Yeah.
but after, professionally, personally, you go through painful periods. I do know that you'll always come out in retrospect, as painful as it is and hard to believe, you'll come out in a better place.
True, true. If you could go back and give yourself your 24-year-old self, Jamie, just starting out, what would you say to yourself? What would your advice be?
I had very long hair there, believe it or not, so maybe condition a little longer. What would that advice be? What would that advice be? Um, I don't know that it would be anything different than it was, which was just be true to yourself, carry on. I was just content in the beginning of my career. When I moved to New York to go to Parsons, of course, I had that starry-eyed vision of New
Right.
York. And I'm going to live in a penthouse on Fifth Avenue, and I'm going to be friends with Halston and Andy and Liza. And, by my mid-20s, no, that wasn't happening, but I had a business already. And by my 30s, it was like, it's all good. And I'm not going to be famous, and I'm not going to be rich, but I can go to sleep at night knowing my bills are paid.
Mm-hmm.
And with time, just sticking to what you should do, trying to stay true to yourself, it all came together. It all worked out.
What do you hope your legacy will be in design, not just for your clients, but for the next generation of designers and what you bring to the nonprofit world because you do so much for a wider spectrum of the community, not just for the design industry, but for so many individuals?
So, probably the legacy that I will have more impact on long term is the philanthropic. And it's not because my name will be necessarily attached to something, but hopefully we've just made the communities better. We've enriched students' lives at Parsons. It really turned around 11,000 kids' lives a year, plus their families. They don't have to worry about them. These kids are going to have a future. Not every one of them, of course, but the impact goes very deep. And I have made my legacy plans, and legacy plans don't have to be meaning you give everything to charity. I have the close family and friends who I've thought of on the day when I'm no longer around. But I've also made plans for the Jamie Drake Future Fund at the New York Community Trust and a non-restricted legacy donation to Parsons. Through my philanthropic work, I learned that undesignated funds are the rarest but the most valuable because they can't see what they might need in the future. And if you say,
Yeah.
I want to leave my funds to Bosnian watercolorists. Well, what if there are no Bosnian students coming to Parsons? What if there are no watercolorists in a year? So, and then professionally, I don't know, just I hope I've inspired some people, and I don't know, there's few and far between designers are rare that will be remembered for very long term. We have Sister Parrish, we have Elsie DeWolf, Siri Mom, Mario Boada, but then all the names I know, many of the greatest names from the 70s and 80s, Bobby Metzger, Ruben de Saavedra, Michael DeSantis. Does anybody remember their names? No, rarely. I do. When I go to speak to students in design schools, I say, raise your hands if you know any of these names. They don't know.
Right.
So I'm not worried about my Jimmy Drake design legs. And if I get lucky to have a room or two remembered up there, fine.
If your design style were a cocktail, what would it be and why?
Well, it would probably be my favorite cocktail, which is a vodka martini up with a twist, shaken freezing cold. And I guess relating to design, it would be because it's crystal clear, it shimmers and sparkles, and it's refreshing.
We have something in common.
Yeah.
But I like blue cheese olives.
Oh, yummy, yummy.
Yeah. So does Douglas Friedman.
Oh, cool.
Do you have a guilty pleasure design element, something that you can't resist adding to a
Yes,
project?
yes, I do. And that's witty things, things that put a smile on your face. As I've often said, I'm not looking for belly laughs, but
Mhm.
like, oh, look at that over there. What the heck is that? What the heck is that? For the project at the beach in the Hamptons, doing the accessories. I was shopping in this store and they had the cutest little natural wool llamas. And one of the guest bedrooms is all kind of white and soft and beautiful. And I thought, isn't that cute? Wouldn't that just, what was it, $35?
Mhm.
So cute, just sitting on the bedside table. And it was, but the client didn't have my sense of humor and asked me to return it.
Oh, I like that little touch.
Right.
It has a little, I guess, yeah, whimsy. Is
Whimsy.
there a go to materiality for you?
No,
No.
I like texture. I like satin. I mean, I like matte. I like death. I like real wood. I like lacquered wood.
Whatever comes to mind and works. Of all the unusual projects you've taken on, what was the most surprising or fun to design?
Um, I guess the medical projects I've done for a practice based in Jacksonville, Florida. And the practice is a radiation oncology practice. And the first project I did with them was for a ground up building um, that was built around their new proton therapy machine. And these clients were really driven to have design as a message of wellness, health, healing, and marketing. And the ceilings are high, which costs more money to build and costs more money to air condition, but they breathe. The forms are often sensuous
Mm.
and embracing. The colors are bright, and we bought wonderful art for the project. And it's a big building. The Ackerman Cancer Centers is state of the art and fabulous, and we went on to do a couple of other locations for them. But their main building is just absolutely fun and fabulous. And from a marketing standpoint, their patients come in and say, "This looks ahead of the curve and optimistic."
That's good.
Yeah.
When you walk into a room designed by someone else, and sometimes as a creative, you're not able to turn it off, unfortunately.
Right. Right.
What's the first thing you notice?
Um, General overall vibe and feeling, and it's usually often if it's nighttime, the light levels. Is it well lit or not?
Hmm.
It's crazy the number of people who just think you turn on every light full blast and that's how you light a room.
Right.
Um, it's like well, even just living in New York, where you can walk or drive around and look up at apartments all over the place. Who can live in that bright light? What
Right.
the heck? Can't they get a dimmer?
It becomes so clinical looking. It's like so bright and so white. And yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
right.
So let me reverse that question. When someone walks into a Jamie Drake space, what's the reaction? What's the feeling that you hope that is extracted from them?
A smile more than awe.
Hmm.
Um, a a sense of curiosity and like looking here and looking there and looking there and what do I see and what's this and what's that pile of books and what's in the books and who's that candlestick from and yeah, I think discovery.
And just for fun, what's the boldest risk you've ever taken in life or in design that completely paid off?
Friday, 2 days from now, is my fifth anniversary of meeting my boyfriend. And I would say the boldest thing I did was when we broke up badly at the beginning for a little bit, that I I was open to revisiting.
You never
It
closed the door.
opened me to pain, but it worked out.
Oh, there you go. Well,
Opened me to the
congratulations.
possibility of pain.
There you go. Well, early congratulations and happy
Thank,
anniversary.
thank you.
So, what's next for Jamie Drake and Jamie Drake Design?
Just continuing along my trajectory. I really enjoy working so much. I still get a thrill and a pleasure out of it. I'm glad to have success and to make money. That feels very validating, but it also fuels my philanthropic efforts. And so everything in my life sort of is meshed together. A lot of people say you do all that board work and you really seem that takes some time and you're running a business full time. How do you get it all done? And my philanthropic work does take a good amount of time. Kips Bay, the two things I co-chair, I'm really involved with Nazira on those. The trust being the board chair, very much so. Parsons, some. And I think that just as I do in business, I hate long meetings. I like a quick meeting, present me the information. I will digest it quickly, make a decision, and move on. I don't like agonizing over things. And I'm willing to say, if 95% of the decisions are good decisions and 5% are not, I can live with figuring out how to correct course for the 5%.
As a creative, how do you keep motivated and inspired?
Travel, dining out, going to theater, reading the newspaper every day. There's endless inspiration. Walking down the street and the way the sunlight on a bright day hits the concrete and those little diamond sparkles. I don't think they're diamonds, but in my mind, they're diamonds.
You see things. You see it.
Yes.
Who is Jamie Drake? If you could answer that question, if someone asked you, who is Jamie Drake?
A confident, caring person who has a pretty decent sense of humor and likes to put a smile on people's face and be assured but not threatening.
Looking back from when you first created your backyard fort at 7, what are you most surprised about that you've learned along the way?
Probably like Sally Field. These people really like me. What am I surprised? What am I surprised? I don't know. That things are possible. And that, I didn't go into this. I wasn't in business 10, 15 years thinking I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be actually make some money. And it all, those weren't my conscious goals at all. And they came to me very blessedly. Knock wood.
Most creatives don't have a favorite project, or if they do, they have one that says like, that was me, encapsulated in every way. Is there one project that you can think of that just encapsulates your personality, your style?
Well, probably my own apartment at home here where I'm sitting, because there's wonderful art. There is color, although, a lot of people say, well, you live with so much color. It's like, no, the walls are gray. The floor is stained, ebonized. There's white sofa. Yeah, there's color. It's used impactfully. For a client project, probably Gracie Mansion, just because of its import and the wonderful opportunity it was to show people in 2002 that New York was resilient after 9/11, and to partner with New York vendors to do that. And then too many others that everyone I love. I mean, a house in Long Island, a house in London.
All of it. They're all your babies.
Two apartments on Billionaires Row.
Well, Jamie, thank you for taking the time today to sit down and chat with us. Is there anything else you'd like to add or tell our audience?
Cray, when can we do it again? Do I have to have a couple of years off?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Hey, we can do it in person. I'm in New York quite often, and we'll do a catch up and just,
That would be great. Thank you very much, Cray. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, and much continued success to you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Jamie Drake has shown us that design is not just about beauty, it is about bravery, in color, in vision, and in living a life dedicated to creativity and giving back. His interiors dazzle, his collections inspire, and his philanthropy uplifts. And we are reminded that true design, like true legacy, endures not because it follows rules, but because it dares to rewrite them. Jamie, thank you for sharing your journey and for reminding us that elegance at its best is bold. This has been Beyond the Design.
Hi, you're listening to a Pod for Good Media Network podcast. We are a network that provides podcasting production services and a supportive community in which podcasters can thrive. If you're a podcaster local in the Tulsa area, we would love to have your show on the network. If you are interested in starting one, we would love to help you get started. Find us online at podforgoodmedia.com and fill out our Pod With Us form. Happy podcasting.